Welcome to Biography Central. You are listening to Life of Sri Ramakrishna, a complete biography. Chapter 21, Glimpses of Mathur. Hriday, my wife, children, wealth, position, and everything is unreal, and Ramakrishna alone is real. In these terms, Mathur expressed his deep veneration for his great master. We have seen how he gradually surrendered himself to Sri Ramakrishna and looked to him for guidance. We know of one of the master's visits to his Jaun Bazaar house on the occasion of the Durga Puja. We shall narrate some interesting events that took place on another such occasion. As usual, Mathur heartily enjoyed the 3 days of the puja in the company of Sri Ramakrishna. When the Vijaya Dasami, or the day for immersion of the image in the Ganges, arrived, everybody was sad at heart at the thought of the impending separation from the mother. But Mathur was still under the joyous influence of the 3 preceding days, and it was a rude shock to him when the priest sent him word to come and make his parting salutation to the mother, as the time for the immersion ceremony was near at hand. To immerse the mother in the Ganges. How could he have the heart to do that? It was impossible, so he gave no reply and sat overwhelmed with grief. To the priest's repeated reminders he replied, "No, I can't allow the image to be moved. The mother shall be worshipped here regularly, and anybody interfering will do so at his peril." Everybody was surprised. The persuasion of the elders had no effect. Mathur clung to his resolve. The news, greatly magnified, at last reached his wife. In her perplexity, she went to Sri Ramakrishna, her last refuge, and told him the whole story. The master went to see Mathur and found him pacing the room excitedly. "Father," he said to Sri Ramakrishna as soon as he saw him, "whatever others may say, I can never allow the mother to be consigned to the Ganges. I have told them that she shall be worshipped here regularly. Life would be unbearable without mother." Sri Ramakrishna stroked Mathur's chest and said, "Oh, is this what makes you afraid? But who tells you that you will have to live without the mother? And where would she go even if you consign the image to the Ganges? Can the mother stay away from her son? The last 3 days, she has accepted your worship outside, in your hall, but henceforth she will be much closer to you and accept your worship, being constantly present in your heart." That magic touch and those words restored Mathur's composure. Did he feel the radiant presence of the mother in his heart? Who knows? But he gave his consent to the immersion of the image. Like a real guru, Sri Ramakrishna lifted his disciple's mind by a touch to a higher plane of consciousness where there was no further need for the external symbol. This marvelous power of the touch was observed again and again in the master's subsequent dealings with his obstinate disciples at Dakshineswar and elsewhere. What hours of argument could not do, a single touch would accomplish in a second. He explained that when he touched the disciple, the impurities of the mind would be removed and truth would flash before his purified vision. The following incident will illustrate Mathur's deep faith in the master. Once he was bedridden at his Jaun Bazaar house, with an abscess of a serious type. He was anxious to see Sri Ramakrishna and sent repeated messages to him to come. The master complied with the request and came and stood by his bedside. With great difficulty, Mathur sat up and asked for the dust of his feet. "What will you do with that?" said the master. "Will that cure your abscess?" Mathur replied, "For the abscess there is the doctor, but I want the blessings of my Savior on the eve of my departure from this world." Sri Ramakrishna immediately fell into a trance, and Mathur, with tears flowing from his eyes, reverently placed his head at the master's feet. He recovered in a short time. Sri Ramakrishna's gracious attitude to Mathur was not only maintained throughout the latter's lifetime, but was also extended to his heir. One day, he said in an ecstatic mood to Mathur, "I shall remain here as long as you live." Mathur started in apprehension, for he wished the privilege of association with Sri Ramakrishna for his son Dwaraka. So he said, "Why, Father, Dwaraka too reveres you." "All right," said the master. "I shall be at Dakshineswar as long as he lives." As a matter of fact, he left Dakshineswar only after the death of Dwarkanath. Just as Mathur confided everything to Sri Ramakrishna, so he too, except when in samadhi, consulted Mathur on all matters and sought his advice or opinion like a boy. The relation between them was one of mutual trust and dependence. During, as well as after his sadhana, the master would inform Mathur whenever he was in need of anything. He would tell of his extraordinary visions to Mathur and ask his opinion. On the other hand, he took care to see that Mathur's wealth was usefully spent. All this kindness, no less than his childlike simplicity and helplessness under the normal conditions, completely won over Mathur, who took upon himself the task of protecting Sri Ramakrishna. Finding in him a combination of omniscience with the innocence of a child, Mathur concluded that Sri Ramakrishna's body was to be his care, just as in the subtle spiritual domain he himself was protected by the master. Mathur's love for Sri Ramakrishna therefore assumed a complex character, for in his transcendental states Sri Ramakrishna was the object of his worship, and in the latter's childlike moods Mathur was the comforter. Nevertheless, it was to Sri Ramakrishna that Mathur would turn when in difficulties. Once he permitted some of his followers to fight those of a rival zemindar, and some men were killed. Finding himself in danger of the law, Mathur hastened to Sri Ramakrishna and implored his protection. The master at first took him to task, saying, "You rogue, every day you make trouble and come to me for help. What can I do? Go and bear the consequences of your own deeds. How can I help you?" But at the continued importunity of Mathur, he said at length, "Go your way. It will be as the mother wills." Mathur escaped arrest. Living in the company of Sri Ramakrishna and seeing him so often in the state of bhavasamadhi, Mathur was determined to taste that bliss for himself. He was thoroughly convinced that Sri Ramakrishna could perform any miracle at his mere wish, for had he not given ample proof that he was God incarnate? He prayed to the master for the experience of bhavasamadhi. Sri Ramakrishna gave his usual reply, wait. In the fullness of time, you will experience it by yourself. You are all right, as you are enjoying both worldly and spiritual joy. But once you have attained that state, you won't be able to look after your estate, and everything will go to pieces. Mathur was not convinced. The master then fell back upon his last resource in such cases and said, "Well, I shall ask Mother about it. She will do what she thinks best." A few days after, Mathur actually experienced bhavasamadhi in his John Bazaar house. He could no longer look after his estate. He sang, laughed, danced, or burst into tears without any reason. Unable to divine the cause of this change in him, his relatives, taking it to be some disease, consulted physicians. But treatment proved futile, and all were anxious. At last Mathur said to them, "I am neither insane nor anything of the kind. Don't be anxious, send for Sri Ramakrishna, and everything will be all right." The master came. Referring to this incident, he would say, "I was sent for. On arriving there, I found him in a strange condition. His eyes were red, and tears ran down his cheeks as he spoke of God. There was a tremor in his chest. He clung to my feet and said in a spirit of remorse, 'I crave your forgiveness, Father. For the last 3 days, I have been in this state. In spite of my best efforts, I cannot turn my mind to business, and everything is topsy-turvy. Be pleased to take back your bhava. I don't want it anymore.' 'Why?' I said. 'It was you who demanded it.' 'Yes,' said he, 'and I feel its joy too. But if I remain like this, the estate goes to ruin. It is a state that is fit for you and not for me. So please take it back.' I smiled and said, 'I told you so before, but you did not listen to me.' 'Quite true,' replied Mathur. 'But how could I know then that it would possess me like a ghost, and that I would not be able to extricate myself when I wished?' I passed my hands over his chest, and he became calm. Spiritual states require training of the aspirant to make him able to bear their brunt. He must be pure and free from selfish desires. Otherwise, these states do not last or bring about terrific reactions. The seeker after truth cannot be too careful about the necessary preparations. Mathur cherished a desire to make some permanent provision for Sri Ramakrishna, but he was foiled in his object by the master's supreme spirit of renunciation. When Chandradevi was at Dakshineswar, he thought there was an opportunity to fulfill his desire. So one day, he pressed her to ask of him anything she wanted. This perplexed the old lady, for she wanted nothing. She said to him, "My son, you have already removed all my wants. I shall inform you if I require anything in future. I have enough clothing, and you have amply provided for my food. So what more can I want?" Mathur still insisted on her accepting something from him. Chandradevi thought a moment, and then said, "Well, if you must give something, buy for me an anna's worth of tobacco leaves. I want to make a tooth powder." Mathur was moved to tears at this ideal contentment. He saluted her as he said to himself, "Who but such a mother could give birth to a son like Sri Ramakrishna?" Sri Ramakrishna visited 2 devotees in company of Mathur. One of them was the famous Devendranath Tagore, the founder of the Adi Brahmo Samaj, Calcutta. The master said to Mathur, "I have heard that Devendranath Tagore meditates on God. I would like to visit him." Mathur and Devendranath were classmates in the Hindu College, now Presidency College, at Calcutta. So Mathur felt free to call without special invitation. One day the party, including Hriday, visited Mr. Tagore. Mathur introduced the master to his friend, who received him cordially. To determine how far Tagore's body bespoke spirituality, the master asked him to bare it. When he tucked up his shirt, it showed a crimson glow on his fair chest. Referring to this visit, the master said later, "When I first met him, he appeared to be a bit proud. Naturally enough, for he enjoyed wealth, learning, honor, and prestige to an uncommon degree. With that in mind, I addressed Mathur. Well, what is the genesis of egoism? Is it due to knowledge or ignorance? Can a man who has realized the Brahman be proud of his learning, wisdom, or riches?" I was talking with Devendra when suddenly I was seized with that peculiar state of mind in which I can see through a person. Then even scholars seem as mere straw, meaning of very little value, unless I find them endowed with discrimination and renunciation. Laughter swelled within me. I found him to be both enjoying the world and leading a religious life. He had many children, all young. So in spite of his being a great jnani, he had to reconcile himself to the world. I said to him, "You are the King Janaka of this age." Janaka both enjoyed the world and attained the highest realization. "I heard that you have your mind fixed on God though you are in the world, so I have come to see you. Tell me something about him." Devendra recited some passages from Vedas. "This world," he said, "is like a chandelier, of which every creature is a bulb." While meditating in the Panchavati, I too had a similar vision. Finding his statement tallying with my experience, I thought he must be a very great man. I asked him to explain it. He said, "Who can know this world? God has created man to proclaim his glory. If there be no lights in the chandelier, everything is in darkness. One can't see the chandelier, even." We talked a long time. He was pleased and invited me to attend their anniversary. "That depends upon the Lord," I said. "You see my condition. There's no knowing in what state he will put me at any particular time." "No, you must come," he said, "but please come dressed in dhoti and chadar. It will pain me if anybody criticizes you for being shabbily dressed." I said, "That is impossible. I can't be dressed like a babu." At this statement of mine Devendra, Mathur and all laughed. Next day, Mathur received a letter from Devendra canceling the engagement on the plea that it would not be genteel for me to appear in the meeting without a covering for the body. The other devotee was Dinanath Mukherjee, who lived at Bog Bazar, Calcutta. This visit was a disappointment, for on that day, Mukherjee's son was being invested with the holy thread. The house was very small and already crowded with visitors who had come to be present at the ceremony, so there was neither room nor leisure for Mukherjee to entertain Sri Ramakrishna and his party. After a brief talk, Sri Ramakrishna left. I hope you like this chapter. We need volunteers and sponsors to create content with even better quality and with more variety. If you wish to join this initiative as a volunteer or sponsor, please click the links given in description below. To help us reach more viewers, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Biography Central. Thank you for your time. It means a lot. Namaste.